The ground trembled beneath your past last night, but you didn't notice. Something ancient and venomous slid its way through your circle, hissing softly through lips that once kissed your forehead. This isn't just betrayal, it's spiritual warfare hidden behind a familiar face. They watched you sleep while harboring secrets meant to break you. They smiled in your presence, but behind closed doors, they spoke curses that slithered through realms. Your dreams have already started changing because their energy has begun infecting your atmosphere. The serpent wore perfume and promises, but its teeth are sharpened with envy. It disguised itself as concern, as loyalty, even as love, but its true mission was destruction from the inside. And you, being the pure heart, didn't suspect the enemy came wearing the skin of someone you protected. Archangel Michael says, there is no more time for blindness. The one whose name you still whisper in prayer has conspired against your peace. They have held your hand in daylight while offering your destiny to the dark behind your back. The spiritual soil beneath your feet has been turned over in silence. Something was buried near your life long ago, a spiritual seed of betrayal, watered by jealousy and grown under your roof. The moment it bloomed, your atmosphere began to suffocate without reason. You've been restless, pacing, sensing, but unable to explain. Your joy has cracked in places even you can't locate. The emotional weight pressing on your chest is not imagined, it's the echo of a divine alarm sounding from a hidden betrayal. God says, I gave you signs in the form of delays, disruptions, forgotten items, and misaligned conversations. I scattered moments of discomfort around them, hoping you'd recognize the warning. But your love was louder than your discernment, and the serpent used it to get closer. The garden of your spirit has been trespassed by someone you once fed. They waited until your back was turned to strike. And yet, they haven't drawn blood, because a holy force is holding them back from finishing what they started. A dark whisper has tried to wrap itself around your identity. This voice, fed by the enemy, was meant to reshape the way you see yourself, to make you small, insecure, afraid. But it didn't work the way they planned. The voice didn't settle, it stirred your spirit instead. Archangel Michael says, I broke their spiritual dagger midair. It was meant to be subtle, emotional sabotage, a false opportunity, a relationship designed to shame you. But my sword met it in the realm of silence before it reached your spirit. Still, the enemy is adapting. It's not done. They now attempt to use memories against you, reminding you of what broke you once, painting the past as a place you deserve to remain. But the past is not your prison. It's only the place where the snake thought you would die. What you feel crawling under your skin isn't anxiety, it's spiritual residue from an enemy too close to your bloodline. They were granted access years ago, and they've never left. They found comfort in your forgiveness, but they've never repented. You may have seen them recently, laughing, sitting across from you, brushing your shoulder, speaking softly. And yet, in the spirit realm, they are plotting your fall with a venom-laced grin. The darkness within them is growing hungrier by the hour. God says, I allowed the serpent to rise so I could teach you how to see. I permitted its hiss so I could awaken the roar that lives inside your lungs. You were never meant to be naive forever, this pain will unlock your divine clarity. They have stepped too far now. The betrayal is no longer hidden. The heavens have marked them with divine warning, and your spiritual garden is no longer unguarded. The snake that entered must now face the sword that guards your destiny. In the stillness of your room, the atmosphere will shift. A chill may pass through. Your heart may race at nothing. But that nothing is a spiritual disruption, someone's curse returning to sender. Their spell is breaking. You will start to see faces differently. Someone's eyes won't look the same anymore. Their words will sound flat, lifeless, because your spirit has begun rejecting their frequency. Archangel Michael says, I pressed my blade into the soil beside you. I stood between you and the strike they rehearsed in silence. And I marked the time of their exposure. It is closer than their next lie. The identity behind the snake will shatter something you believed was solid. Your heart will ache, but that ache will be your awakening. You were never weak, only surrounded by spiritual actors skilled at pretending to love light while hiding shadows behind their smile. The snake cannot stay hidden anymore. The garden has turned, the soil is screaming, and the truth is uncoiling. It's coming for the surface, and when it arrives, you will not be the one who falls. You will not mourn this revelation forever. Though it cracks your spirit tonight, it will make space for the light you've been denied. And when the mask drops, the silence afterward will be the loudest blessing you've ever received. The serpent did not just strike from the outside, it burrowed inward. It whispered in the shadows of your confidence, loosening your self-worth thread by thread. And now, what you thought were your own doubts are echoes planted by the one hiding behind the false light. You've been walking through rooms heavy with invisible weight, unaware that the betrayal is not only around you, it's inside your energy. Your body has been remembering a trauma it hasn't fully understood, and your soul is pulling back from people without explanation. This is not mood, it is spiritual recoil. You've cried over things that don't make sense. You've felt watched even when alone. That's because something has spiritually tethered itself to your light, using emotional hooks and familiar voices to drain what was meant to bloom in you this season. The one who moved like family has been watching your blessings rise with gritted teeth. They were never at peace with your peace. Every time you smiled in faith, something inside them twisted with resentment they never voiced. God says, the unease in your stomach is not paranoia, it is prophecy stirring that I placed a divine alarm beneath your ribs, and now it rings louder than ever. You are not being dramatic, you are being spiritually alerted. There were moments you felt something watching you through the eyes of someone you love. It was never them alone, it was what had attached to them in secret. The spirit of envy is subtle, but when it locks eyes with favor, it begins to whisper distortion. This distortion has already touched your decisions. You've said no to things meant to bless you. You've sabotaged yourself softly, and then felt shame about the very things you were spiritually manipulated into doing. This is the snake's pattern: convince you to bleed, then make you blame yourself. Archangel Michael says, I have drawn a holy line between their influence and your identity. They tried to bury doubt inside your voice, but your soul still sings beneath the silence. I will not allow them to redefine your name. They prayed against your progress in the same breath they used to congratulate you. They smiled while hiding hands that were spiritually tied in secret rituals. They said, "I'm happy for you," but inside, they were counting the seconds until something derailed your joy. There is a presence in your memories now, something that slithered in, rewrote certain stories, and made you feel smaller than you ever were. You started believing you were too much, too broken, too late. But those beliefs were never yours. They were injected through subtle cruelty masked as truth. The poison worked slowly. It didn't shatter you in one moment, it drained you, breath by breath, day by day. And now, you've been questioning your strength when in fact you've survived 1,000 silent battles no one saw. You must understand this. What lives in the shadows fears your awakening. The closer you get to the truth, the more agitated the serpent becomes. That's why everything feels louder, heavier, more intense, because your spirit is breaking the seal they placed on your perception. Archangel Michael says, "I have sent winds through your thoughts to push out what does not belong." The night terrors, the disconnection, the spiritual exhaustion, it's all the residue of what clung to your destiny too long. But the purge has begun. They tried to attach their shame to your reflection. They hoped you would mirror their wounds instead of radiating your purpose. But light never stays buried, it burns through whatever tried to dim it. You'll start remembering things differently now. Faces you once loved will make you uneasy. Words that once comforted will ring false. Because your spiritual lens is being cleaned, and what once hid in beauty will now be exposed by clarity. God says, "I am removing the dust from your soul's mirror." You will see who you are again. You will not bow to the snake's voice disguised as your own thoughts. You may feel like something is breaking in you, but it's not you breaking. It's the influence that was never meant to remain. The whispers beneath your skin are losing power, and the true voice of your spirit is rising with fire. The person behind the serpent does not realize they awoke a storm. Their betrayal touched something ancient in you, something divine that remembers who you were before they wounded you. And now, your blood sings with a rhythm that heaven recognizes. This is not just an emotional moment. This is a spiritual rupture. A shedding. A sacred warning that your timeline has shifted, and the identity behind the snake has already started to fall from grace. They will begin to stumble. Their words will tangle. Their plans will unravel without explanation. Because the serpent cannot survive in exposed light, it writhes, it chokes, it flees. Archangel Michael says, they were warned. In dreams. In divine nudges. In spiritual visitations. They knew what they were touching, and still, they continued. Now, the divine backlash will move through every lie they spoke in your name. You will not return to confusion. The fog is lifting, and what you feel is not fear, it is divine clarity roaring through your nervous system. Your body remembers who you are. Your soul is activating its inheritance again. The whispers will stop. The doubt will melt. And what was planted in you by the snake will be uprooted by God's fire in a single moment of revelation. The truth is no longer hidden, it is leaking through the cracks in their carefully curated image. You may not have realized it yet, but their mask has begun to split. The false charm, the rehearsed concern, the loyalty that felt off, these were all layers stitched together to keep you close while keeping you confused. They did not expect your spirit to awaken. They underestimated the depth of divine surveillance around your life. They thought they were dealing with someone easy to manipulate, but in truth, they've been standing in the presence of a soul handpicked by heaven. The serpent behind their smile has always been watching your rise with cold calculation. They praised you while planning your delay. Every time you confided in them, they took that information and twisted it in secret places to turn favor away from you. God says, I allowed their access to test your spiritual sight. I placed you near this snake not to break you, but to break the illusion you still held about love and trust. You had to feel the sting in order to shed the naivety that was caging your growth. You're not crazy for thinking something was off. You saw their energy shift before their words did. You felt cold where there should have been warmth. That is divine perception. It's sharper than logic, deeper than proof, and truer than anything spoken aloud. Now, the snake is panicking. The energy they tried to drain from you is no longer reaching them. Your aura has become closed to their theft, and they're feeling spiritually starved. This is why they're lashing out, even in subtle ways. Archangel Michael says, I've begun unraveling the protection they had in dark places. They once spoke against you with confidence, but now, their tongue is becoming heavy. The same words they used to curse you are returning to their own door. The collapse began when you stopped feeding the illusion. When you withheld just one truth from them, their false peace cracked. You may not have seen it, but spiritually, their grip slipped the moment you obeyed the nudge to withdraw. They've been digging through your name in private, trying to find weakness. They ask about you in indirect ways, hoping someone will hand them ammunition. But the more they reach, the more the divine veil around your purpose repels them like fire. God says, you will not be mocked by those who pretended to protect you. I am exposing every agreement they made in the dark, spoken or unspoken. Their secrets will turn on them, one by one, until they have no more strength to stand against what I've declared over you. You've sensed it in small ways. Their tone feels forced, their support delayed, their silence louder than usual. That's not a coincidence. It's the weight of divine consequence pressing on their shoulders, and they can feel the storm forming behind your name. This storm is not chaos. It is justice. It is the holy reordering of every room they tried to poison with your presence. It is the sacred backlash of every time you wept while they feasted on your vulnerability. Archangel Michael says, their alliances are weakening. The same charm they used to manipulate others is becoming hollow, and their mask no longer fits the face they wear in secret. There are things you're going to overhear soon, fragments of truth that pierce the story they told. You may feel betrayed all over again. But do not turn away from this revelation. Let it break what it must. Let it reveal what was never real. Do not mourn the mask. Mourn the time you spent trusting the mask. But understand, that time was not wasted. It baptized you in wisdom. It purified your discernment. And now, you can never be fooled the same way again. You are entering a season of spiritual X-ray vision. People's intentions will glow in front of you like colored smoke. The serpent will no longer find shelter behind fake love. You will see them clearly, and when you do, you will not flinch. God says, the collapse of their mask is the beginning of your reign. What they tried to hide will now speak against them without your hands touching a thing. You will not need to defend yourself. Their own spirit will expose the truth. They are spiraling. Their influence is eroding. And soon, even those who once defended them will feel a strange unease when they speak. That is how divine justice works, silently, thoroughly, without the need for human proof. The snake behind this identity thought your silence meant defeat. But your silence was sacred. It was protection while the heavens assembled a case no man can override. And now, the verdict is being read in secret realms. Archangel Michael says, I stood at the edge of your reputation with a flaming sword. Every time they tried to turn someone against you, I cut the lie in half before it took root. You were defended even when you didn't know you were in battle. They will dream of you now. Not in peace, but in warning. Your name will echo through their sleep, not with warmth, but with the weight of everything they touched in darkness. Their rest is now disturbed, because the truth has begun to breathe again. They should have never laid their hands on your innocence. They should have never spoken with envy while standing in your presence. They were offered many chances to stop, but now, the line has been crossed. And you, soul of fire and grace, are being released into a territory they can no longer reach. The mask has collapsed. The serpent has been named. And the divine spotlight is now burning through every illusion they hoped would hide them forever. The earth beneath their schemes is opening, and they feel it. Not in their bones, no, deeper than that. In their spirit, in the place where guilt meets dread, they know something terrifying is arriving with your name written in divine flame. There is a fire that now surrounds you. Not one that consumes or destroys, but one that shields. What used to break you now ricochets. What once seeped into your soul now burns away before it can land. And those who once toyed with your emotions? They are now scorched by the very presence they thought was weak. They can't understand how you're still standing. They buried your joy. They discredited your tears. They pretended to care while secretly sharpening their knives. But you've become untouchable, not because of revenge, but because heaven moved in around you. God says, I've built walls of fire around you, not to trap you, but to protect what I'm building in secret. The enemy thought he had time to destroy you. But I let him move just enough to trap himself in the very net he cast. Now they are the ones who fear being exposed. Their alliances have started to dissolve in the background. Conversations are being repeated. Intentions are being questioned. And in the silence of their own homes, they feel a heat they cannot explain. Archangel Michael says, you are surrounded by watchmen. Angels with swords. Messengers assigned to carry your name with precision, making sure it lands only where honor lives. Every time your name is whispered in mockery, heaven hears it first. They thought they could strip you quietly. That no one would notice as they drained your confidence and rebranded your voice as too much, too emotional, too complicated. But the fire around your spirit has rewritten the narrative without you needing to say a word. Now, when they try to use your name, their tongues grow heavy. Their words return void. Their influence begins to dim, even among those they once controlled. This is divine reversal. the turning of tables without you lifting a hand. You're not delusional for sensing it. You felt eyes on you lately, strange glances, odd pauses in conversation. That's because people are being spiritually stirred about you. They don't know why, but your name now carries weight. Holy weight. And that weight exposes. You will not need to shout. You will not need to defend yourself in crowded rooms. Your presence alone now carries fire, subtle, unseen, and unmistakably divine. It makes the guilty tremble and the righteous stand at attention. God says, I did not make you endure fire to destroy you, I made you walk through it to make you fire. The same flames meant to burn you became the crown that now sets you apart. You are not who you were. You are holy evidence of survival. They underestimated how the storm would shape you. While they thought they were breaking you down, I was sealing you up. While they thought they were cutting you off, I was pruning you for greatness. Everything they misused, I have reclaimed and refined. Archangel Michael says, the serpent's time is closing. Not with a crash, but with a suffocating silence. Their access is gone. Their stage is collapsing. And soon, even the shadows they hid in will spit them out. Let them squirm in confusion as favor returns to you. Let them grasp at old tricks that no longer work. Let them watch as the doors they tried to close for you begin to unlock without human hands. This is not vengeance. This is restoration. They tried to bury you with lies. But you are the kind of seed that thrives in soil poisoned by betrayal. Every shovel of dirt they threw on your reputation became fertilizer for your purpose. And now, they're watching the garden grow from the outside. Do not mourn their absence. Do not chase the snake. Its role in your life is done. The betrayal was real, but so is the freedom you've stepped into. Do not return to clarify yourself to those who only wanted fragments of your soul. This is a sacred season. One where your light burns too bright for falsehood to follow. Those who lied on your name will feel the fire before they feel forgiveness. And in that space between discomfort and redemption, they will remember everything they did to you. God says, I am roaring through your silence. I am marching through your tears. I am lighting up every room they tried to dim around you. My favor will feel like a furnace to those who mocked you, and like warmth to those who loved you rightly. You are not the same. And that shift is divine. You walk differently now, not because you're bitter, but because you're burning with a holiness no lie can penetrate. You've passed through betrayal and come out as revelation. They will speak your name differently now. With caution. With awe. With regret. Because you are no longer reachable by manipulation or shame. Your territory has been sealed by divine fire. Archangel Michael says, the snake once hid in tall grass. But the fire is cleansing the field. And soon, everyone will see what you saw in secret, the fangs behind the flattery, the venom behind the smile, the betrayal behind the closeness. And you? You will keep walking forward, flame-kissed, purpose-bound, and heaven-backed. The fire is not your enemy. It is your signature. It is the mark of the anointed. It is the signal to the world, this one has survived, and now, they rise.